It's way too much damage. Stop him with the block! He fell charge.
Oh, and he found
wow.
Wow.
Oh, no! He gets out!
Somewhere there's a covert muffin just applauding this seed.
Holy crap.
Oh man, this is gonna come down to execution in the final escape, isn't it?
Sure is.
Every seed
Our
does.
favorite phrase.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the upper bracket stage of the Random Ori and the Blind Forest Randomizer tournament in 2021. We have Cleanfel versus the person who died here in this match, and as you can see from their seatings out of the preliminaries, these are two of the top runners. Both of them have won 2 races so far in the bracket stage, and whoever gets to win this race will actually only be playing best of 3s from this point. And this can be important as this kind of gets rid of the random part of the tournament and gives a bit more consistency, as you are less likely to get rendered in all 3 of your seeds. My name is Sukil, and today on commentary I am joined by Jamal. Jamal, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'm really looking forward to this race. As you mentioned, we've got 2 really good runners coming up in this match, and so I'm really excited to see how this ends up playing out. To talk about our runners a little bit, I'd like to introduce Clean. So Clean really is just hoping for a good, clean race where nobody gets randoed too hard. He's especially looking for some grenade jumps in Misty especially, because he really wants to be able to show off his skills with that ability on the left side of the map on stream. With that said, he's not really too nervous about this race, although he is aware that Person is a very good player and could very easily take that. And of course, wants us to make a note that so far in this tournament, clean water has been found in exactly 61.11% of seeds in this tournament. So very important stat that I'm sure everyone will be interested to keep track of. Meanwhile, what do we have to say about Person?
Well, Person being a KBM player just as Clean, so in that regard they will have parity, no problems with something like bash grenades or some other tricks that might be a bit more difficult. He says that he also wants grenade jumps just to get around the map a bit quicker, but he does not want to have a grenade jump only escape, because you have to get 4 or more grenade jumps in a row, which can be pretty hard. This is a 1-frame trick after all. He just wishes to play well in the seed, no random deaths, not getting randoed, and his goal for the tournament is top 10. So since he's already in the top 12 of the tournament, he's already somewhat happy with this. But definitely wants to improve. And he also lets us know Clean is pretty clean, so he will need to be cleaner than Clean to beat Clean. So hopefully for him and for Cleanfel, we will get a clean seed from both of our runners, maybe even with some clean water. But with that, I'm sure we will be heading into the race soon. What do you expect from the seed here?
I mean, a race like this is always something that I'm torn, because on one hand, we've got 2 very good runners, and so getting a seed that gives us some skills early and lets us show off their skills would be very entertaining to watch. On the other hand, I am a big fan of bad seeds, and really just can't help but hope to see a little bit of rando happening. So I'm kind of going to remain undecided on that one. We'll see what we get, and we'll see what our first pickup has in store for us.
And it's charge dash efficiency. If dash turns out to be one of the first pickups, both of our runners will be happy about it. Clean, as soon as he sees what he actually got, just wishing good luck on your rando. Now saw the charge dash efficiency, as well as both of our runners picking up the 2 non-randomized things in the randomizer, just to make navigating the world easier. And the climb start, not necessarily a favorite of the community, but definitely a start.
I don't know what you're talking about. Everyone loves the black root climb ramps. Regardless, our runners now have the option of going either left, getting the few pickups that are available to them before they run out, maybe hoping to get some keystones or maybe a teleporter that they could use. Alternatively, they could choose to head down here and start clearing out black root immediately. So this is a possible potential divergence here. But as I say that, I am proven wrong. Both runners opting to postpone Blackroot for as long as possible, not wanting to do those climb ramps, and hoping to be bailed out here with something else instead. And we're halfway there already. There's one keystone. There's 2 more pickups that they can get here, one of them being in logic, and so there's still a chance that we don't have to go to Blackroot yet.
Yeah, I think what influenced their decision as well is that neither of them had any experience going into this section, and there is a cutscene in the beginning of Blackroot Burrows. They now got enough experience for an ability point, and you can skip that cutscene by a save anywhere, where you basically trick the menu and thinking you closed it, and while be moving behind it, and then skilling an ability, using an ability point to save the game while the cutscene plays to essentially skip it. So that is what Clean on the left is doing, as Person is actually opening the 2 keystone door on the right.
Yeah, this is a very interesting play from Clean, I think, because they got that second keystone from Fake Flippers Underwater, which is out of logic because unlike what he's hoping for, we do not yet have clean water, and so that pickup the randomizer does not expect our runners to have. So Clean is making the logical play right now, or rather he's following the logic of the randomizer, because this is where the game expects him to be going, whereas Person has opted to take that second keystone and go further on into this early game area, which, you know, having Climb, he can still clear out a lot of this area on his first visit, but Clean might be more likely to find a, you know, skill or progression in this area here in addition to getting his first tree.
Yeah, he also managed to get that climb ramp in Blackroot Burrows very nicely. Can now do some more checks here. There has to be some progression there, as mentioned. This is the area you're supposed to go to. This progression, of course, could also just be a second in logic keystone, so Person could be ahead of him in that regard as well, as he finds more keystones in the glades, gets a nice level up to clear those, and will now pick up the mapstone and head to his first tree. So want to explain a bit of how trees work in the randomizer?
Yeah, absolutely. So just like any other pickups, the item that are on the trees are randomized, but the trees are special because in the vanilla game, that's where you have to go to get a skill. And given, I'm going to actually interrupt this thought, Cleanfel has been rewarded in a big way for his decision to not use that out of logic keystone, instead going to Blackroot, finding Dash, which is eventually going to pair very well with that charge dash efficiency pickup, and is going to just generally speed up his movement throughout this entire race. Finding that early is going to be a big find for him, but I wouldn't expect Person to go too long without that. He has to go to Blackroot eventually, and given what he's found in the Spirit Caverns wall jump area, which is a whole lot of nothing, he'll be going there very shortly to find that himself.
Yeah, he could have decided to open yet another keystone door to do a few more checks, but is deciding to head into Blackroot Burrows as well, as Clean is lifting the darkness in this area and will collect his first tree as well. And yeah, kind of a high five in that regard that they are in the same area. Yeah, we will see what is behind the crashes, because they are for now actually in logic. That is not a very often seen thing, because this is a very early game area to check in the randomizer, and Dash can be literally anywhere on the map, so finding it this early is definitely nice. And as Clean is checking some more pickups here, made a save, so if he decides to not keep it, it's a health cell, so deciding to keep it, so he won't need that safety save to return to, as Person on the right is attempting this very hard climb ramp. There was actually some science been done in this area, and what science has found that there is no consistent way to do this.
It's very unfortunate. Now, back to the original thought I got on before I got distracted by strong abilities, is that the trees are in the vanilla game the places where the players have to go to get skills, and in the randomizer it is our goal mode, which means that they need to visit all 10 of the tree/feather locations in order to be allowed into the final escape to complete the game. And in addition, because we have a normal standard seed here, we are also playing with clues, and that means that every 3 trees our runners are going to be given a hint as to the location of one of the dungeon keys around the map, and 2 of those 3 dungeon keys are going to be required for them to find in order to finish the seed. So a very common play is to rush trees. You'll see runners getting as many trees as quickly as possible with the hopes of getting as much information as possible and finding, you know, whatever happens to be along the way as they go.
Yeah, so we will see at what point our runners are going in what we sometimes call lumberjack mode, just going for the trees, clearing them out as soon as possible. As Person picked up his dash and Clean is getting to the wall jump areas, both kind of doing the things the other runners already done. Logic so far hasn't given them too much possibility to spread out here, so both of our runners just heading to their second tree, and it seems like Clean is a bit ahead, just getting that second tree slightly quicker than Person will do so, and he's rewarded with yet another keystone, so he will head left and probably open that next keystone door.
Yeah, I think this difference here is very small at this point. There's still a lot of race to go, but can be explained probably just by that random choice that Clean made to go to Blackroot first, find his dash earlier, and just that little bit of speed throughout this area. It's not much, didn't take Person long to find it, but it is enough to explain probably about this 30-second difference between the runners right now. With that said, right now, Clean has gone, as you predicted, opened up that key door, is now in Spirit Caverns proper, and is still just finding more keystones. So it's looking more and more likely that the logic of the seed is going to have our runners heading over to the Charge Flame tree, and maybe potentially giving us the wonderful start that is wall interaction and blue break, and giving us the entire right side of the map in logic all at once. While I'm talking about this, though, Clean has decided to go for this micro ledge here. Hits it pretty cleanly, actually. Pun intended, absolutely. And that's going to allow him to check this pickup, just experience, so not too much coming from it, but is then going to head up towards the Grove Teleporter and the Charge Flame tree.
Important to note, I think, is that one of the keystones was the underwater pickup, so not quite in logic, but the thing Person on the right is doing is actually in logic with that dash they picked up. Going through this area, even without having to glitch that boulder, is in logic, and is the pickups here are definitely, could potentially hold something, and I believe he has more than 4 keystones, so that should be definitely a hint towards Spirit Caverns and now the Charge Flame tree that Cleanfel found. He also got his first clue. I didn't quite see what it was, but it was also the Swamp Teleporter on the Charge Flame tree, which opens up the right side even more, as you alluded to. Wall jump kind of, or wall interaction kind of gives a lot of room for right side, so yeah, he's deciding to head there as well, as Person is now heading to the left to Spirit Caverns, where Clean just was.
Right. I think it's actually kind of funny. I noticed here, Person, while in back of Blackroot there, turned in 1 map stone. I didn't see where he grabbed it from, but if it was in logic, I believe that makes the logical progression to indeed turn in that 1 map stone to get your 4th keystone to open the door to the Grove Teleporter, like Clean ended up doing. So, kind of entertaining there. The other thing worth calling here is that Person opted to go towards the back of Blackroot area, turn on that teleporter, which Clean did not do, which means that once our runners decide to go to the grenade tree, Person's going to have a little bit of a time save there, because Clean is going to have to backtrack through that front area of Blackroot that he's already done, whereas Person is going to be able to just teleport straight there.
Having that dash, though, will speed it up immensely. I don't think it's too much of a time loss at this point, because, like, you can just dash through Blackroot burrows like it's nothing. But definitely a heads-up play by Person to grab that teleporters, just being a nice way to traverse the map even quicker than you can do with dash or even charge dash, which I'm sure both of our runners will be picking up, as it is a way of breaking blue plants, and there are a lot of blue plants in the game, as Clean is checking this one-off pickup of the health cell in horror fields, and it's the valet teleporter. That could come in huge, as it provides left side access to Clean. So depending how the logic wants it to go there, this could definitely be an immense save.
Yeah, this could end up being pretty spicy. It doesn't do too much right now because our runners don't have a great ability set to, go up in value or kill the bird or anything like that. But it is going to be something that he's going to want to keep in mind for later. As you said, once they, decide they have the ability to go to left side, having that teleporter is pretty big. And the fact that Person, might not actually check that. That's a pretty commonly skipped pickup, despite the fact that you don't actually need any skills to get to it. So this might be a difficult find for him.
Yeah, we also, with Clean just flashing his menu, we also saw that the first clue was actually that the water vein is in Sorrow. So on that left side that he has easier access to than Person does right now, of course. A lot of skills could change that, and there is a Sorrow teleporter in the item pool that they could use to get to Sorrow even quicker. But for now, Clean doesn't get the boss fight skip here, so deciding to reload, that is quite costly. We saw that his save wasn't really nearby, as Person is checking that area has free energy and is going for an energy glitch on that free energy door, for energy door, of course, because otherwise he wouldn't need to glitch it. We'll try to get an energy in the door at the last frame he can reach it, and that will permanently stick it in, so he can refill his energy and get the energy door open. This will give him access to Grotto via the Staff Gauntlet, which is a very big sequence break, but also something that he can do. And he decides to not go for it after a few attempts.
Yeah, just having Climb, that's a very tricky one to get. And while it is potentially a big break in logic, a big, time save, it's a pretty risky play to go for because you also then run the risk of missing something that is, or in the swamp area that Clean is currently going through. We know, of course, because we can watch Clean's screen, that it ended up not really being much of anything. But of course, Person does not have that knowledge, and so is instead opting to just go through this anyways. The other thing that I want to point out is the knowledge that Water Vein is in Sorrow actually could potentially make Glide a huge find, which, is one of those abilities that isn't always super important depending on what your other skill set is. But if our runners have to do a thorough clear of Sorrow in order to find that Water Vein, then having Glide is going to make that significantly easier. Yeah,
they would either need Glide, a big HP pool, or just be lucky that it is on something like Kuro's Purge or something, where you don't even need to go into Sorrow proper, as Cleanfel is setting up for a bridge skip here, using a save anywhere to save on the bridge and being able to check 2 picks to the right, just without having to do the trouble of traversing the entirety of Gumo's hideout. And it's an energy cell, and what is on the right here? A keystone. So just some more resources, currently at 3 blue energy. So 4 energy doors, not quite in your logic just yet. But never mind, there's the 4th energy, so he can check some more things here in Grotto. Does not quite yet have Charge Dash, so can't break blue walls, but I'm sure he will find a lot of resources here that he will be happy to keep.
Yeah, now, a kind of unfortunate thing that happened there is that when Clean did that save anywhere, did that skip, he only had a single ability point, which means he was not able to buy more into the blue tree, which he wanted, because that's going to get him closer to Charge Dash. Instead, had to put a point into the red tree, which is definitely, not a very common play you see people make. I think it's generally agreed that the red tree is one of the worst skill trees. I think there might be some contention about which one is actually worse between red and purple. Regardless, not the play he wanted to make. While we see Person on the right here making some checks in DG, including this underwater out of logic one, has really just been rewarded with some experience. Not too much ending up coming from this, unfortunately.
Yeah, both of our runners definitely currently looking for that next piece of progression. As Person finds the Sorrow teleporter, that will definitely make his search for the water vein easier if the water vein, of course, turns out to be in Upper Sorrow or anywhere close to this. Definitely also a comfort to have that right side access as or left side access as alluded to. And yeah, that puts them kind of on parity with that again, because depending on the skill set, they are kind of interchangeable. Not at the moment, of course, because at the moment, neither of the runners has the skill set to use either of them, really. As we see Person now heading into Gumo's hideout as well. Yeah, he's gonna check this energy cell that we know as Clean on the left finds 69 XP and a keystone. Very nice.
Very nice indeed. At this point, as far as state of the race is concerned, our runners are still very close to each other. At this point, we have Person making a number of checks that we've already seen Clean make, so perhaps running just a little bit behind, but depending on how thoroughly he decides to play Grotto, it could very easily turn that around, and it does indeed look like he's making a play straight for the double jump tree, so making a run for those trees as we were expecting earlier. I think it will be interesting to see how this race evolves, because our runners both have left side teleporters of some form, but they have different left side teleporters, and the skills that make those teleporters useful might end up being different. So depending on what our runners find and what skills the seed is actually putting into play here, we might see one runner getting the advantage over the other purely because of which left side teleporter they had, which is a very interesting situation to be in.
Yeah, definitely. We will see how that evolves at the race. As Person is now heading to the double jump tree, will get the fourth tree. Yeah, we will see where he decides to head to next. And with that, having a bit of trouble of getting here, but will get his next tree momentarily. So 67 experience, no new clue, because that was just his fourth tree. He will surely alt R, and then we will see where he decides to head to next. And probably to the teleporter, as it is just the best way to get around to the in the world. And he will go to the swamp again, as Clean on the left is also heading for the double jump tree. Can't pick up that one pickup that Person missed as well. If that turns out to be something important, I don't think either of our runners are going there anytime soon.
Yeah, with that said, the question of where progression actually is suddenly a lot more interesting, because our runners at this point have made a full pass through a lot of these areas at this point. There's not too many things that it could be, and so I think there's a question at this point of, what scraps do our runners decide to go and pick up first? What cleanup did they decide to go make? And then ultimately, what does this end up being? I'm wondering, if, maybe it could be the Grotto mini boss. I don't think we've seen anyone check that. I don't think we've seen anyone check, the top of Glide Vault. At this point, I'm just trying to think of what pickups are in logic that our runners could technically find.
I think Clean actually checked the mini boss, and I don't think it turned out to be anything important, as Person now got his Valet teleporter as well. So a slight advantage on his side for that, because he now has both the left side teleporters. And yeah, both just checking some more pickups that the other runner has already checked. So we of course know that there is nothing of value here, as Clean is now heading into lower Blackroot Burrows as well. Another area that Person has checked earlier, and he left behind for now. But now he's gonna get these checks in as well. As we see some nice rocket jumps from Person, meaning he has skilled charge dash. He's now able to break all these blue plants and do this weird movement with rocket jumps, where you basically charge dash and jump to gain an insane amount of height, as shown.
Yeah. Now, I was interested to see there. I thought for a second with Dash, Clean might opt to do the Frankie lure in lower Blackroot and kind of use that to sequence break his way out to the grenade tree. At this point, like I said, there's not too much in logic at this point. In fact, I think Person is pretty close to one of the only pickups that is trying to get this rocket jump here. The rocket jumps, of course, are not in logic, but I believe that the energy cell off to his right below the spider sack area is with air dash at this point. So that is also possibly progression, though that could be a pretty tricky jump to make.
Yeah, definitely. As you alluded to earlier, there's a lot of one-off pickups that they haven't checked. As Clean is approaching the same area from the other side, kind of, that person just checked. I'm curious whether he has skilled charge dash yet. He didn't quite catch that, so depending on that, he could either progress further. He's checking that experience over the charge flame tree, which is very relatable, has costed a lot of races already in several tournaments. This time around, just an energy cell. Nice to get the resources, but definitely not progression.
Yeah, that pickup is in logic with air dash and wall interaction, so a good check for him. And as Clean mentioned before the race, does feel like he knows the logic pretty well and likes to follow it. So I am not surprised to see that check coming out from him, as we at this point just see our runners making a lot of cleanup with the charge dash, rocket jumps, and just getting a lot of the pickups that they had to leave behind before. Using charge dash for blue breakage or rocket jumps, as we mentioned, are not in standard logic. So if our runners do find anything from those checks, then it is technically a sequence break. But regardless, we definitely take those if we find them. And so, especially on a seed that is as skill-starved as this one, that could absolutely be the play. As we see Clean coming over, not that pickup I thought it might be, is just experience. We are severely running out of pickups that are in logic at this point.
Yeah, definitely a slow start to seed. We are 22 minutes in and still only 2 skills that aren't even close to being, like, of course dash is one of the most powerful skills in the game, but only dash still limits you a lot with what you can do. They don't have any kind of verticality besides those rocket jumps, and yeah, that could definitely turn out to be a problem. Still a lot to do for both of our runners, as you mentioned. Clean could decide to do the Frankie walk here to get access to the grenade tree, but we will see what he decides. He's careful to not kill his Frankie right here, because this Frankie is actually very special.
Yeah, no, this Frankie is special because he never respawns if you kill him, and he is very important to be able to lure and stomp the floor down to the grenade tree, and that prevents our runners from needing to find stomp. So Clean is going to go through extra effort to keep him alive so that he can do this lure. Meanwhile, on the right, we saw a person trying to go for a save drop down into the you skip the rock slide trick into the grotto energy vault. Unfortunately, did hit that soft lock, did not get to check those pickups. I'm pretty sure we saw Clean check them already, so we know that there was nothing important in them, or else we would not be in our current situation.
Yeah, both of our runners still looking for that thing that they need. Cleanfel going for the glide vault because our community is just great at naming things. The glide vault contained glide twice in a tournament in 2017. So now this is glide vault. We just stick to the names, and it's just a health cell. The underwater pickup was nothing either. So dropping down again. Running out of options to do. There's the far left pickup he can do here. Out of energy as well, so can't even check blue plants at the moment. And he will go there. This is actually possible with the skill set they have. It's quite obnoxious because it's, as you can see, he needs to wait for those cycles, and if he doesn't get one, it's not a nice thing to do.
Absolutely not. Now, I think it's worth mentioning a little bit of a pattern I've noticed here, in that Clean, as he said, is following the logic very closely at this point, is using these skills that he has to find pickups that he know the game expects him to be able to get. However, Person has been doing a lot more with his charge dash abilities leveled up, and has been going a lot more for areas which there are pickups that he can get, maybe with blue break or maybe with a rocket jump, hoping to find something just on, sheer number of checks alone. Whereas Clean, I did not think he was going to be able to make it out of that, actually. I'm very impressed that he made that, and is rewarded with charge jump. That was one of the only pickups left in logic, and that is a massive find.
Yeah, definitely. They are now 2 out of 3 on this on the grenade jumps they want, only missing the name giver grenade here, and charge jump being one of the other power skills in the game, other than dash, is just that powerful. Now they have all the verticality they could ever want, basically. So you can see Clean making great use of it, and especially combined with Climb, you just get a lot of options as you can aim your charge jump wherever you want. Picking up Spirit Light efficiency, very nice. This doubles every XP you pick up. So skilling whatever ability you want is now significantly easier, as he's now heading into Swamp with that charge jump. Of course, this is very easy. His keystone count is also looking good for it, as there is no way to properly key dupe. Only has 1 left though, so that could be worrying.
With that said, Charge Jump is going to actually put this tree in logic, and with Climb and Dash, is actually going to put the grenade tree in logic as well at this point. So that is a number of checks that have opened to our runners at this point with this pickup that were not previously available. So we're going to see Clean here making a play for this tree, making some checks in the immediate vicinity, and I would guess at this point expect to see him head down towards the grenade tree as well.
Yeah, definitely a possibility he can do. Just checking some more pickups near the Stomp train, nothing too big, but with the skills he has, he can check a lot of stuff. Zorro is still worrying. They don't have glide, they don't have double jump to stall in the air, they don't have bash to maybe use tumble warps. Oh, but I've watched way too weird stuff recently. Tumbleweeds, of course, to use some weird double bashes. But for now, checking that. And there's grenade! There's the Holy Trinity. Let's go.
This is something that Clean was explicitly hoping for. We have our early grenade jumps. We haven't been to left side yet. He's going to want to show these off, and you see him doing it right here. This is, as we may have mentioned before, a 1-frame timing between pressing grenade and pressing charge jump, but his reward is going to be to send absolutely flying. This is like one of the, if not the fastest movement abilities available in the game. And so having, that charge jump open up the map, letting him find grenade is a huge find, which at this point, this might be a while till he checks it. He's doing a lot of stuff that is not in logic, and that's going to kind of send him down a rabbit hole, I think. There's a real possibility he falls seriously behind because of that one check.
Yeah, that unfortunately is just rando sometimes. Both runners have mentioned that they don't want to get randoed and don't want the opponent to get randoed. So not necessarily something we want to see, as it just, it's just never a good time to see someone searching around. But he finds clean water. Definitely something that person found that before Clean. But the seed is blessed, so I'm pretty sure he's happy to find that. This will make his final escape easier, but will unfortunately also put a lot of pickups in logic, or well, not in logic, but available to him that will bring him further from that grenade pickup.
Of course. Now, we do see Clean having found charge jump, making a play here for the left side through the Sorrow teleporter. At this point, interesting to note, actually, I'm looking, does not have charge dash at all yet, and has been putting a number of points into the red tree, which I think is interesting. He could have bought it at this point, so I'd be curious maybe to hear his thought process on that after the match. But using good use of a zombie there, and his charge jump and wall climb and dash in general, using all of his abilities to get over to this tree, and perhaps at this point, I'd be interested to see how long he sticks around. The water vein is in Sorrow. There aren't too many checks he can make from this point, and he immediately altars. This is an interesting situation to be in, for sure.
Yeah, and as that already was his 7th tree, we saw the hint or the clue already for the next dungeon key, which was unfortunately for the Guman seal. So nothing our runners will hope to go to unless, for example, the Sunstone turns out to be there, or person decides he needs that grenade and is going to Forlorn to search for that. Clean now making more checks in the Sorrow area. We know that the water vein is here, so he will be careful to pick up everything that he can here. Going to set up a safe to just be nice level up, making being able to check something some more here, but can't really check the right side. There's just too many spikes here. They look tasty, but they most definitely aren't, as he's checking everything that he can here. Without bash, definitely not an easy time. Without glide, without double jump. Yeah, definitely don't want to be in the run in Clean's shoes right now. Not a nice time.
Yeah, he is absolutely at this point just hoping to get lucky. Is going for a grenade bash redirect off this fall here to kind of redirect his momentum upwards. Only going to give it a couple attempts before he leaves, it looks like. Meanwhile, on the right, Person going for this Frankie lure that we did not see Clean have to do because he found charge jump. Person still sitting on those first two abilities, has to bring this Frankie over here to walk over and stomp on this floor for him. Now, there is the benefit we know from this, that even though this is not going to be as speedy as Clean's entry into BRB, he has rocket jumps, he has charge dash, and he's been using them a lot. So at this point, I believe we'll be able to find Grenade relatively quickly, assuming he goes in this direction. It looks like he is. Dropping a save. There's an energy crystal down here he can use to get his rocket jump back. So we'll at least have logical blue breakage, but has already been breaking blue plants with charge dash. So that might not really be too important or relevant to him at this point, because without having charge jump, he's not going to be able to do these grenade jumps that we see Cleanfel doing.
He could, however, with that grenade, decide to head further into lower Blackroot Burrows. Of course, nothing we would anyone recommend. There isn't a lot he can pick up, I think, with the set of skills that he has, as Clean on the left is picking up his 8th tree, aka this feather. So only one more tree to go, and he will know where his sandstone is, and might decide to search for some more skills on his way, because this is definitely not a comfortable thing to be on in terms of skills. Still hoping to find that water vein in a location that isn't too horrible right now with his skill set. Now decides to head into Misty to get his last clue. And of course he will be careful to check everything in here, and without having Stomp he needs to do some trickery with that frog. Now skill charge dash, so can technically break that floor with another way as well. Is using that charge dash to get into there and gets rewarded with an attack upgrade.
Yeah, it's very intelligent routing on this point from Clean to save Misty for one of the last areas here. Having our Sunstone being one of the required keys and not having that hint means that we have no idea where it is. And so it's possible that the Sunstone is in Misty, and Misty is the area that is very costly to revisit because it is completely linear. So we're gonna see him checking all of these pickups on the way down, and then likely going to the tree. If the tree says the hint that the Sunstone is not in Misty, then I would expect to see him alt-R and immediately leave. I'd also like to make a brief callback. You mentioned that there wasn't much that Person could do in Lost Grove. There is one very important thing that Person could do with Grenade and Clean Water in Lost Grove, and that is, of course, everyone's favorite pickup, the Lost Grove Long Swim. You never know, maybe there's Bash there.
Well, it could very well hide there, but we won't hope that for either of our runners. This is just a horrendous pickup to get, because it's just so much out of the way, and without having clean water like Clean does not. Well, they both found different skills at the same time. Both kind of wall interactions, if you want to count double jump as one. Yeah, definitely that's skills, not necessarily what they might be looking for. Wall jump for Clean obviously doesn't do too much because he already has climb. But double jump for Person will be really nice. Gives that air stallment, which could be really, really good for Sorrow, as we get our clue that the Sunstone is in Swamp, an area I believe Clean can full clear with a lot of damage boosting.
Yeah, depending on how much health he has, or if he finds clean water, which at this point there is no clean water hint. He's checked a lot of this area already, and it would be really unfortunate if the Sunstone ends up being on that swamp swim. And it also, another possible unfortunate play here is that double jump is, as you mentioned, going to be a very, useful pickup for Person. It's going to give him a lot of access to things he hasn't found before. But, we have the external knowledge that, charge jump has been in Logic at this point since, 10 minutes into this seed. And that's going to be something that's probably going to postpone him doing this digging and making that play. So it might end up just being big bait, which would be extremely unfortunate.
Yeah, definitely. Person also picking up his Spirit Light efficiency, doing some more checks. As Clean is heading into Swamp, going to do some checks here, trying to charge dash this open, just gets an ability cell, not necessarily what he's looking for, setting up a grenade jump to get to this far off pickup that you're normally required to have glide and wind restored for, but he's just using a grenade jump as he got it. It's just 32 experience for his trouble, so unfortunately not what he's looking for. He's trying to think of pickups that are not those swims because, yeah, he definitely does not have the points for ultra defense or any good way to get through the water quickly, so that could definitely be a turning point in the race, though. If that is the underwater pickup and Clean does not have a way to get through the water quickly without having Bash, that could be a good point for Person to catch up with maybe finding those key skills that Clean got. And he only gets a keystone, so definitely looking like it's going to be an underwater pickup, and with the water vein being in Sorrow, that could definitely be a long seed.
This is looking to be a gross seed for sure. We do see Person now using his double jump, heading over here, is going to get his charge jump. This is going to be big for him. But with that said, our runners, as you mentioned, now we have two pretty gross key locations. The Sunstone looking to be underwater, deep in swamp, which is not a place Clean is going to be happy because he does not have clean water. But our runners still do not have glide or bash, making Water Vein Sorrow a tricky proposition still. There is still absolutely a chance that a comeback happens here. I know, looking at the sheer tree count, Clean definitely has the advantage, already having 9 complete, but there is still a lot that could go wrong in this seed.
Yeah, definitely. Clean still going for pickups that aren't underwater. Gets another keystone, still not the Sunstone he's looking for. Yeah, Clean, you definitely need some clean water right here. I don't think there's anything else left for him. He checked the left pickups to the left of him, I think. So, yeah, damage boosting it is, and I don't think he's doing a drop right here into the water to get a bit more movement in the water, basically, without taking damage, as Person is going for his Stomp Tree. Now on 6 out of 10 sees that the Guman Seal is in Glades. We of course know that it's right next to spawn, as it looks like the Sandstone is even further into the water. Clean getting a convenient level up here, will be able to continue further, takes damage and dies unfortunately, but the save is very neatly placed, so he can retry that again, takes another damage. This is very precise, and especially this is the one turning point where actually using a controller can be advantageous, because you are able to go through this area without being limited to only 8 directions.
Yeah, I'm not sure with this much health whether or not Clean can actually make these checks. If he swims perfectly, he might be able to get this one up here. Doesn't look like... Oh, no! It's unfortunately not the Sunstone. This is looking really bad for Clean. And at this point, I want to raise a proposition to kill. What do you think the odds are that Bash is in Horu?
Well, it would definitely have to be in the lower parts of Horu, as I think it's required to have Bash in the upper parts. And with where the Sunstone is located now, I sure hope it isn't. But of course it could be. As Clean is now searching for his water vein up in Sora. It could, of course, Bash could also be like in its vanilla location in the Ginso tree, but yeah, we won't know until we find it or after the race maybe ask for the spoilers of the seed. So Clean is making his way up, maybe going to Vanilla Sunstone right here.
I don't know if he can make it with his current abilities.
You can, I think, grenade jump up the shaft to get up. Yeah.
Ooh, there we go. That's the lineup I did not know. Good knowledge from Cleanfel there to make it up here.
And now he can charge jump all the way across to get up, and he can break this. It's experience, and let's see what the Sunstone holds for us.
I am hoping here that this is something good, or else Clean is going to be in a very rough position.
Yeah, and person on the right is now checking all the pickups in Sora. Has an easier time with the double jump that he acquired, and it's Sunstone is just a health cell this time. No water vein on Sunstone. As Clean is now dropping down again, and person is getting this very precise charge jump. First try every time. No one saw that before. And it's not the Rito Caves. The first keystone to the right, the water vein. These checks, as you can see, without having glide, these are just very, very hard to get to. Doesn't quite have enough HP to be able to do this, and I don't think is able to skill next anything else. Only more experience, so no water vein inside still. So yeah, this seed turned out to be pretty brutal from the get-go to until now. Person, of course, having only 2 skills for the entirety of 20 minutes or something, or even more.
I think it was closer to 40 almost. It was a lot. Meanwhile, Person, we've actually seen making a lot of good progress. While Clean has been stuck making a set of really difficult checks hoping to find those dungeon keys, Person has been making solid progress towards his trees. At this point, doing Misty as his 9th tree is definitely going to have an easier time finding Sunstone, having found clean water. And it, you know, at this point, I'm not sure. Even getting through horror fields is not a trivial task with the skill set. Grenade jumps makes it easy, but that's not logic. And so I really wonder, you know, is it reasonable even to find something in horror? I really, at this point, am questioning what the logic of the seed is, just as much as our runners are at this point.
Yeah, definitely not an easy to read seed, and Clean has said before the race that he likes to go by logic, but with this he must be, yeah, tearing his hairs out basically with what the seed has thrown at him. This is, yeah, and this one clean water pickup could turn out to be huge if progression turns out to be in the Ginso tree. Or not in the Ginso tree, in Mount Horror, rather. And more pickups that are not the water vein on the side of Clean, unfortunately, as Person is now rapidly approaching his 9th tree, will then know where to search as well, and he will, as mentioned, have a much easier time going through it. Is not checking everything on his way, interesting to see. Maybe just not having a good way. No, he's actively skipping pickups here in Misty. Very interesting to hear from him what his thinking is behind that.
Yeah, now one area also that Person could decide to go to, I don't expect it necessarily because logic is, you know, not really a friend here, but he could potentially go to the back of Misty. Those would be new checks at that point. As he does instead Altar, we do now see Clean, having made it over to the left side of Slar, has been doing a very good job of steadily clearing as many of these pickups as he can. Making his way towards this column here. This is going to be a challenging area to get up for sure without having wind or bash or anything. So I'd like to see what he finds here. At this point, only finding a keystone. We're running out of checks. Well,
yeah, definitely. Not even having ultra defense or anything. This is extremely hard, as you can see. And there's the water vein. Oh my god, he's bailed out.
That is massive. Absolutely not in logic, but that is going to be Ginso access. Having his current skill sets, Ginso is going to be a relative breeze. This is going to be his 10th tree likely. I expect to see him going straight for this. Meanwhile, we see Person at this point heading to Swamp, making the play for the Sunstone. Both runners getting different dungeon keys, able to do different things. I don't at this point even know if this really constitutes an advantage for Clean though, because he still needs to find clean water or get enough ability points to up or get to Ultra Defense to find the Sunstone. This is quite the race we've got.
Yeah, definitely not a seat either of our runners maybe have hoped for, besides that early grenade jumps, of course. And yeah, definitely a race for different things right now. And a lot has happened this race, and it's very close. It turned out to be very close again, with Clean not being able to get that Sunstone anytime soon. Person will do the swims here and will probably find his Sunstone momentarily, as Cleanfel is rapidly approaching his last tree right here. There was no mini-boss to be seen here, that just disappeared as he's going further up. Will now have those, is actively more skipping pickups. I'm interested to see why, because he still does not have the enough ability points to skill Ultra Defense and has no good way to get to the Swamp. Very interesting decision here.
Yeah, it might be out perhaps banking on some of those high density picks from the upper grotto area. Does find 1 XP for his troubles. Thank you, Sigma, for blessing the seed. But unfortunately, not much else, and is now going to be left in a similar situation to what he was before, of needing to find that Sunstone. But, you know, maybe he's got some more health there. Maybe he's at this point banking on being able to damage boost through more of Swamp. He was not too far from getting there with the save drop last time, but it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, definitely. And last time, a very fortunate level up bailed him out, as we see that the keystone in the swim is the Sunstone. So Person definitely with the advantage in that pickup will now have to find his water vein. Let's see how he approaches his Sorrow traversal with the skills he has.
Yeah, this is tricky for both players. We do see Clean heading down, trying to damage boost through, gets a lucky health pickup from that spiky thing. He's going to be able to make this, actually. Which means that is going to be a Sunstone find for Clean, with a very lucky health pickup letting him make that damage boost. I don't think without that he would have been able to make that check. That is insane. I can't believe that.
Yeah, definitely a lot of luck, but again, that's just random for you sometimes. Gonna use this teleporter to fill up his health and energy again, as he is now approaching the final escape. He has all trees completed. I don't think this is a very easy escape. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
absolutely not.
With all the resources he has, of course it would be possible to beat the final escape with grenade jumps only, although it would be very hard. Having dash and having that charge flame is definitely gonna be helpful for that, but it doesn't make it an easy escape by any means, as Person on the right is dropping down in Sorrow and will be searching for his water vein here. And yeah, we will see how long it takes him to get to the right position for that. As Cleanfel is choosing Door Warp as his way to go, gets it first try every time, is now in the final escape, activating this final cutscene, or well, final cutscene of gameplay, I guess, and will then head to the right to defeat this final escape. Hopefully, he will get it within a reasonable amount of tries.
Yeah, not an easy escape, as you said, but definitely a doable one with grenade jumps, and I have a feeling, based on what I've seen with Clean's confidence with the grenade jump so far, is capable of doing it, as we see him now heading through the first room, waiting for the fire pillar, getting a nice clean grenade jump up here, is going to be breaking this wall with a first charge jump, is instead going to charge jump straight through, take a damage boost, and jump off the floor to get through the elemental room. With the amount of health he has, this is not going to be that big of a problem, even though he doesn't have clean water. He has charge flame to repel the fish here, as well as a significant investment in the red tree, so he can just kill the fish outright, and is now making his way to the last room here. Is going to be setting up for a grenade jump to try to skip the Kuro cutscene. This is pretty precise, but nails it first try. At this point, is only one grenade jump away from finishing out this race, and this was a very good performance from him. There was a lot of difficult tricks that this required of him, but performing well, taking a lot of damage boosts to find those keys in disgusting spots, hits the final grenade jump. That is going to be GG for Clean. That was a fantastic race from him.
Yeah, definitely very interesting to see how he managed to traverse those areas where he had to damage boost a lot to just get those 2 pickups he necessarily needed, as he is now just holding right for another good 25 to 30 seconds. As Person is approaching his water vein, so will take some time to find it, of course. And we will see with what time he will finish. And yeah, he's approaching it. This without glide, as you can see, this area is supposed to be a glide tutorial kind of thing. So not having glide is definitely very, very hard in this area, and gets... Oh, frogs are just so mean.
That sometimes they are. At this point, late game areas, they do a lot of damage. Now we know here that Person is very close to finding his water vein. It actually looks like opting. He's got enough keystones, if he breaks this floor, to go through this key door backwards. This is a pretty entertaining play, actually. This is going to make it a fair bit easier for him to check these pickups. Should be able to get the water vein from here, assuming he does some clever weaving through the lasers and doesn't die. With his double jump and some cleverly placed saves on the safe spots here, he should be okay. He's going to find his water vein shortly, knows that's what he needs, is going to immediately alt R, and is going to be retracing Clean steps.
Yeah, definitely. And Clean is actually on deck for some interviews questions. So let's just pull him in for a quick chat, as Person is wrapping up his seed right now. So, GG Clean. Definitely good job on that victory. How are you feeling after this?
Oh my goodness. What was that? When I said I wanted a grenade jump seed, this is not what I meant.
It is what Seed Jump meant, or what Seed Gen meant, unfortunately. And when it comes down to it, Seed Gen's opinion is the only one that matters.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, definitely a seed. Having that dash and wall jump in the beginning, is that the usual sight that you expect, or that you're familiar with, or were you just trying to figure out where to go?
Wait. Okay, sorry. I'm having a lot of nerves. Restate the question real quick.
Sure. You had dash and wall jump as the starter for the seed. Is this something you're comfortable with, or did you have to figure out where to go on the go?
Oh, the early dash was very nice. I like that start. It was very calm. My nerves kind of went away immediately, honestly, when I found dash, because it's like, oh, we're just having a nice time here, just dashing through. So I'm comfortable with that start. Not comfortable with where it led to. That's for sure.
All right. Now, one thing I want to ask you about throughout this entire seed is your ability point routing. You got kind of stuck going down different trees, not being able to make the play for C-Dash. So I think one thing I want to ask is, what's your opinion on red versus purple tree? I saw you putting a number of points into both of those.
Okay, well, dash early means no sense. I'm going for charge dash and potentially ultra defense. So that was another good thing that dash early was meaning for me. As far as everything else goes, I don't know. The ability counts were pretty starved. I enjoy getting quick flame, arc flame, sea flame burn if I have charge flame at the time, which I think I did, but I never used it at all. I like being able to just quickly attack through things. Like it makes all the enemies just nullified, so I never have a problem with them.
Yeah, definitely something to consider. I want to go back to go to the end of the seed. Were you considering getting clean water, ever searching for that, and how did you feel? Like, how lucky was that HP in the swamp swim for you?
Yeah, the save drop is one I don't do too often, but it's never really failed for me, so I like doing that a lot. The health was nice. I think even without it, maybe I would have made. I don't know. I wasn't really counting. I was just like I was like almost breaking my keyboard by how hard I was just holding down like the directional keys. Just Ori, please go faster in this water, please.
Oh yeah, definitely. We also saw you having some troubles with the spike corridor in the swamp swim. As a person, as a quick update, is now heading to his final escape, activating the warmth cutscene, so he will be finishing out soon as well. Yeah, how do you, going back a bit more, you only had like one keystone left after heading to Stomptree. Were you worried keystones would be a problem in the seed?
Yeah, potentially. I was. The Ginzo key dupe, in my opinion, is not that bad. It loses you what 40 seconds, but if I only have to do it once, I'll be all right at the end of the day. It's way better for me than going to areas I don't know where I've gone, because by that point in the seed, I had completely forgotten what I had and hadn't done.
Fair. That was a long seed, so forgetting what has happened is definitely a thing.
All right. Now, another thing I want to pick your brain about, at the end when you were in Ginso at this point and didn't have the Sunstone, knew it was going to be locked behind the long swim and swamp, you were still there skipping pickups anyways. I'm kind of curious, what was going through your mind at that point? Were you autopiloting? Was this an intentional decision? You know, what was going on for you?
I'd picked up, I think, 2 to 3 more health cells in my second search for Water Vein. And in my brain, that was like, oh, that's enough. I'm fine. I should be able, with another good save drop, I should be able to get that my Sunstone in one of those 2 checks. Maybe that was the wrong call, but for me, I felt that was like the right choice at the end, because who knows where clean water could have been.
We actually know, if you want to know as well. As person is
great.
holding right, it's a 58:25 for him, so just 7 minutes short. So yeah, do you want to know?
Sure, I would love to know.
Yeah, it was in Grotto indeed, in the not in Grotto, in Grove at the Spider Sack.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I was not going to be there soon. But look at that. I was fair. I blessed my opponent with the clean water, but not myself. I was just like, I don't need it, even though I do love some clean water. That would have been nice.
And talking about a person, he's also on deck, so let's pull him in for some questions as well. GG person on that seed.
Thanks.
GG.
GG clean.
All right. So now that we've got both of you, I can pick both of your brains for a little bit, specifically about that Water Vein. This is a really tough one. We saw both of you do it in slightly different ways. I'm curious at this point, how confident are you, making that dig for that really difficult spot? Have you made this play before? Just, how do you approach this situation when you've got a really gross hint like that? I guess if we want to start person, let's start with you since we haven't heard from you yet.
Okay. I actually would have used a different route than I did this time. I usually see that. I completely forgot about this in the race, but I would usually check the top since it's easier, and then I would see dash through the laser through the fog, and then charge dash so I could check left side. So I kind of go up to down, and then if I don't find anything, I go for Sunstone. In this case, I guess my route of using both keystone doors paid off, but could have cost me a bit. So
All right, and then Clean, same question for you. That water vein play.
Yeah, Sorrow to me is both a really like interesting place to route, especially without Collide. To me, it's one of the hardest like clue areas like to route because you have so many different parts of Sorrow. I'm pretty besides the like the ones that are really locked by all those Dorito caverns, like the one up top. I do actually have quite a bit of fun digging through Sorrow without Collide. I guess I am though like very happy it just didn't end up being so much worse. Because I think that Water Vein is in logic without Collide. I'm thinking about it because like you can get there pretty easily. So I had fun.
speaking about the logic, I still haven't figured out the logic. Either I miss C-Flame or Bash Subman.
Yes, Flame was actually accessible. I don't recall exactly where it was, but
It was locked in a blue plant, and so we needed Grenade for it. So I'm not sure if that would have been in logic. In this case, the logic actually was with Climb and Dash to head over and grab C-Jump immediately.
You could make that? Oh,
Yeah,
I avoided it because I didn't think you could make it with Climb. That would have saved me a lot of the time.
Knew that was it, but it like that pickup's been like, you know, annoying. Like, oh, the Sunstone's there. I gotta go back to visit Grotto. It's actually that pickup's never hard locked me that bad before, so that's a first.
You play enough rando, there's a first for everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Person, we saw you heading to your 9th tree in Misty, and you just started skipping pickups. Was that intentional? Were you just hoping that the Sunstone wouldn't be there, or were you just in full go mode at this point?
So I did Soul 9th tree. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I guess I just kind of stopped really caring about the seed at that point. Probably should have checked those pickups, but I don't know.
Okay, yeah, continuing with that horrible seed kind of picking your brain. Yeah, you were going for all these rocket jumps very early, checking all these pickups that weren't in logic. Is that something you usually do, just breaking logic wherever you can?
I usually can figure out the logic. I guess it kind of screwed me over because I didn't realize that Climb you could get up. That was the path. Yeah. So eventually I think at some point I checked like almost every pickup I thought was in logic. So my only thing to do was check out the logic, and then it like somehow worked for me. So.
Yeah, it tends to work. So now to you, Clean, you tend to go for logic. Is that something that you've learned from experience? Has that ever bitten you that you didn't go for logic, or is it just how you prefer to play?
Yeah, I always try to stick to the logic when I need to, stick to it when it's in like the beginnings of the seed, because if I kind of start jetting immediately, very easily, very likely I'd miss something huge. But when I see a skill set that's pretty good, for this instance, it was grenade jumps with jet dash and a left side teleporter. I said to myself, logic, okay, thank you, you've been fun. I'm going to leave now and go do whatever it is I did for the rest of the seed.
Fair, very fair.
All right. With that said, I think we are good to close out for the stream. So that is the last race for tonight. But do not fret, there is plenty of Ori scheduled for this weekend. We've got 4 matches, 2 occurring tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. We have Fupio versus Infinite. And at 4 p.m., we have a match featuring myself versus Liftoff. And then Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, we have Romulus versus Gecko, the long-awaited rescheduled match. And at 5 p.m., we have Sunny Muffin versus Apple Tree. We don't yet know at this point what channels those will be on, but they will be happening this weekend. And so if you check the Speed Gaming schedule, you can find out where to watch those exciting matches coming up. With that said, I'd like to, of course, thank the crew, my co-commentator 2Kill, our excellent truckers, Henry and Turtle, and of course, our fabulous restreamer, Apple. With that said, I believe we're good to sign off for tonight. So this has been a very entertaining race for sure. And I think, unless you've got any closing thoughts, 2Kill, we should be good to go.
Yeah, just one small correction there. There's one match tomorrow, one match on Sunday, and 2 matches on Monday, as you mentioned in the races. So just a little bit of slip-up. It's, of course, with all the matches going on and all the craze. Yeah, you will never get enough of Ori in the next few days. So definitely check out the schedule for that. Thanks for the organizers for making such a great race, and we will all see you soon.